The emergency klaxons shrieked through the bridge as Captain Jace fought to keep their transport vessel steady against the solar storm's electromagnetic fury. Sparks cascaded from overhead panels, while the ship bucked and rolled like a wounded animal. Beside him, Zaraketh gripped her navigation console, her crystalline skin flickering with anxious blue patterns as she calculated their rapidly deteriorating trajectory. "We're losing main power," Jace shouted over the chaos, his calloused hands dancing across the controls. Hull integrity at 60% and falling. Zara's prismatic eyes reflected the warning lights as she studied the readings. "There's a planet below Glacialis Prime. It's not habitable, but it might be our only chance." Her voice carried the melodic undertones of her Vesperian heritage, each word accompanied by subtle light patterns across her translucent features. The ship shuddered violently as another solar flare struck their weakened shields. Jace made the decision that would change everything. "Hold on, we're going down." The descent became a nightmare of screening metal and failing systems. Through the viewport, an endless expanse of ice and snow rushed toward them. Jace managed to level out just enough to avoid complete destruction, but the impact sent both of them tumbling as the cockpit crumpled around them. When consciousness returned, Jace found himself pressed against Zara in the cramped remains of their ship. Outside, alien winds howled across a landscape of crystalline formations and frozen dunes. But it was Zara's condition that made his heart race. Her skin had dimmed to an alarming pale blue, and her breathing came in shallow gasps. "Cold," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "My people, we need radiant heat to survive. Our bioelectric systems are failing." Without hesitation, Jace pulled her closer, sharing his body warmth. The moment their skin touched, something extraordinary happened. Zara's crystalline patterns began to pulse with renewed life, and Jace felt a strange tingling sensation spread through his chest. Her eyes widened in surprise as warmth flowed between them. "This is impossible," she breathed, her face inches from his. "Your thermal signature. It's resonating with my biomatrix." As night fell over Glacialis Prime, they remained intertwined. For survival, unaware that their desperate embrace had activated something ancient buried deep beneath the ice. In the distance, aurora-like lights began to dance across the sky, responding to their joined life forces with patterns that hadn't been seen for 1,000 years. The morning brought no relief from the bitter cold, but it did reveal the extent of their predicament. Their ship's distress beacon lay silent, its power cells frozen solid. Jace helped Zara to her feet, noting how her skin immediately began to dim when they separated. They would need to find shelter soon, or her bioelectric systems would shut down completely. "There," Zara pointed toward a series of ice formations that seemed too geometric to be natural. "Those structures, they're not random. Someone built them." Supporting each other against the howling wind, they made their way across the frozen landscape. Zara's crystalline skin provided an unexpected advantage. She could sense thermal variations through the ice, guiding them toward a hidden entrance that led into a vast underground chamber. The moment they stepped inside, the walls began to glow with soft bioluminescence. Zara gasped, pressing her palm against the nearest surface. "It's alive," she whispered in wonder. "The entire structure is responding to our presence." Jace watched in amazement as patterns of light raced along the walls, converging at points where their reflections appeared in the crystalline surfaces. The chamber was clearly ancient, with flowing organic lines that seemed to pulse with their own rhythm. But it was warm, blissfully warm, and Zara's skin began to brighten immediately. As they explored deeper, Jace couldn't shake the feeling they were being watched. The sensation proved correct when a voice suddenly echoed through the chamber, seeming to come from the walls themselves. "You have returned," the voice said, neither male nor female, but carrying an otherworldly resonance. Though you wear different forms, the pattern is the same. Who are you? Jace called out, instinctively moving closer to Zara. I am Echo, guardian of the deep places. I have waited so long for the resonance to return. The walls pulsed brighter. Your joining has awakened what was meant to sleep until the time of convergence. Zara's hand found Jace's, and he felt that strange tingling sensation again. What convergence? She asked. The one foretold in the deep memories. When human warmth meets Vesperian light, the ancient pathways open once more. Echo's voice carried a note of reverence. But beware, there are those who would see this bond broken. They come even now, following your thermal signature. As if summoned by Echo's warning, a distant rumble echoed through the chamber. Something was approaching. Across the ice above, and Jace had the sinking feeling their sanctuary was about to become a trap. The rumbling grew stronger, but Echo's voice remained calm. Deeper, it urged. The thermal chambers will hide your signatures and strengthen your bond. Jace and Zara descended through corridors that seemed to reshape themselves as they walked. The walls pulsed with increasing intensity, responding to their combined presence. Zara's crystalline skin now blazed with patterns Jace had never seen, before complex spirals that seemed to echo the architecture around them. The thermal chamber Echo led them to was a marvel of organic engineering. Pools of naturally heated water steamed in the center, while the walls curved around them like a protective embrace. Outside, the storm had intensified, and whatever was hunting them would have to wait. We should rest, Zara said, though her glowing skin suggested she was anything but tired. Maintain our body heat. They settled beside the warm pools, and Jace found himself studying the play of light across Zara's features. When she leaned against him, that tingling sensation returned stronger than ever. But this time, it brought something else, images that weren't his own got suddenly. Jace was seeing through different eyes, standing in this same chamber, but thousands of years ago. He was taller, his skin bearing intricate tattoos that pulsed with inner light. Beside him stood a figure of crystalline beauty, her features eerily similar to Zara's. Kaelin, the crystal woman whispered, and Jace somehow knew that was his name in this vision. The Deep Council has forbidden our union. They fear what our joining might bring. Then we'll prove them wrong, Nyx, he heard himself say. Our love will bridge the gap between our worlds. The vision shifted, showing scenes of passion and tenderness between the two ancient lovers. Jace felt their emotions, as if they were his own, the desperate longing, the fierce protectiveness, the way their very beings seemed to complete each. Zara gasped beside him, and he realized she was experiencing the same memories. It's happening again, she whispered. We're not the first. Their eyes met, and in that moment, Jace understood. The connection between them wasn't just biological necessity, it was something deeper, something that transcended species and time. When Zara's lips met his, the kiss tasted of starlight and ancient promises. The resonance grows stronger, Echo observed, its voice filled with something like joy. But so does the danger. Those who destroyed Kaelin and Nyx's world have not forgotten. They will not allow history to repeat itself. As if in response to Echo's words, the distant rumbling ceased. Whatever was hunting them had arrived, and Jace knew their greatest test was about to begin. The silence above was more terrifying than the rumbling had been. Jace and Zara pressed closer together in the thermal chamber, their bond now thrumming with shared awareness. Through their connection, he could feel her fear not for herself, but for what their union might cost. There are 6 of them, Echo's voice carried urgent warning, led by one whose signature burns with cold purpose. They carry weapons designed to disrupt bioelectric fields. Zara's skin flickered with alarm patterns. Commander Voss, she whispered. He led the faction, that opposed the original peace negotiations between our worlds. The chamber's entrance suddenly blazed with harsh artificial light. Armored figures rappelled down the organic passages, their movements precise and military. At their head strode a man whose face bore the scars of old battles, his eyes cold as the ice above. "Surrender the Vesperian, Captain Torin," Moss commanded, his voice echoing off the chamber walls. "Your governments have already written you off as casualties. No one will mourn your disappearance." Jace stepped protectively in front of Zara, feeling power flow between them. "Why?" he demanded. "What threat could she possibly pose?" Voss's smile was bitter. "Not her alone, but the two of you together. Your bond threatens everything we've built. The separation between our species maintains the balance of power. Unity would upset that balance." "You're afraid," Zara said, her voice gaining strength. "Afraid that if humans and Vesperians truly connected, there would be no more need for the military complexes that fund your war machine." "Enough." Voss raised his weapon, its energy field crackling with biodisruptive frequencies. "You'll die as the others did, as examples of what happens when nature is perverted." The first shot barely missed Jace's head, sending crystalline fragments raining down. Echo's voice boomed through the chamber. The deep passages quickly. As they ran, Zara's defensive instincts finally activated. Spikes of crystalline energy erupted from her skin, and Jace felt her internal struggle. Through their bond, her species' deadly capabilities had been dormant, but desperation was awakening them. "I could kill them all," she gasped as they reached a narrow passage. "But if I do, I'll become the monster they claim I am." Jace caught her face in his hands, their foreheads touching. "Then we find another way, together." Through their connection, he felt her make the choice, not to become a weapon, but to trust in their bond. It was a decision that would either save them or doom them both. The narrow passage opened into a vast underground cathedral, its walls covered in millennia of crystalline growth. Here, Echo's presence was strongest, the ancient AI's consciousness flowing through every surface. Voss and his team emerged behind. Them, weapons raised, but they hesitated at the chamber's impossible beauty. "This is where Kalen and Nyx made their final stand," Echo announced, its voice now carrying the weight of ages. "Where love faced fear, and both were transformed." Jace and Zara moved to the chamber's center, where a pillar of pure crystal rose from the floor. The moment they both touched it, their bond exploded into full resonance. Thoughts, emotions, and life force flowed between them freely, creating a feedback loop of warmth and light that made the entire chamber sing. "Impossible," Voss breathed, his weapon wavering. "The deep bonds were severed long ago." "No," Zara said, her voice harmonizing with Jace's, though neither spoke aloud. "They were waiting for the right moment to return." Through their connection, Jace felt Zara's memories of the conspiracy, how Voss's faction had orchestrated the crash, hoping to eliminate them before their bond could fully form. But he also felt her forgiveness, her understanding that fear had driven good people to terrible choices. "Commander," Jace spoke directly to Voss, his voice carrying new authority. "Your own files show the truth. The bioelectric resonance between. Our species isn't a weapon, it's a gift. A way to share strength instead of hoarding it." Voss's soldiers lowered their weapons, affected by the peaceful energy radiating from the bonded pair. Even Voss himself seemed to struggle against the chamber's influence, his scarred face showing doubt for the first time. Echo's voice filled the space with gentle insistence. "The deep memories are opening. See what was, what is, and what could be." Suddenly, everyone in the chamber experienced the same vision, a galaxy where human and Vesperian colonies worked together, sharing resources and knowledge. Worlds where the bioelectric resonance had created new forms of art, science, and exploration. A future where fear had been replaced by wonder. When the vision faded, Voss's weapon fell from nerveless fingers. "We were wrong," he whispered. "All of us. The isolation, it was killing both our species slowly." As if summoned by the resonance, rescue ships appeared in the chamber's upper reaches. But they weren't there to separate the survivors. They were there to witness the birth of something new. Jace and Zara's bond had become a beacon, calling to others like them across the galaxy. The age of separation was ending, and the age of unity was about to begin. Standing together in the crystalline light, they felt the future opening before them, like a flower blooming in the frozen dawn.